Students, in molecular basis of inheritance, we were dealing about transcription. In the previous class, I told you the differences between prokaryotic transcription and eukaryotic transcription. Just let me recall that point. In the case of prokaryotes, the transcription occurs in the cytosol, whereas in the case of eukaryotes, transcription takes place in the nucleus. You may be recalling. Then we have seen some more differences also. In prokaryotes, only one type of RNA polymerase is used for this purpose. RNA polymerase used here is only one type. Here, three types of RNA polymerases are used in eukaryotes. You may be remembering. They are 1, 2 and 3 like that, three types of RNA polymerases. First, RNA polymerase 1 will produce rRNA and some other components of that RNA, okay, 18 years, 28 years, 5.8 years, like that. This RNA polymerase 2 will be producing the mRNA. That mRNA is produced in the form of hnRNA, heterogeneous nuclear RNA, we have seen. Polymerase 3 will produce tRNA. In addition to that, single nucleotide phosphates like that, it will be producing here. Then, in the case of prokaryotes, sigma and rho factors are used for this purpose. Sigma factor will initiate the process of transcription. Rho factor will end the process of or terminate the process of transcription. Here no such factors are required. Directly they will start doing the work actually. Then in the case of prokaryotes, polycistronic mRNA is produced, we have seen. Polycistronic mRNA, that means one mRNA can code for many polypeptide chains, that is called cistron. The RNA part or the gene which codes for a RNA is called cistron, or which codes for a protein molecule is called cistron. At a time it is able to produce many polypeptide chain, that is called polycistronic mRNA. In the case of eukaryotes, there will be monocistronic mRNA, which we have seen in the previous class also. Monocistron, single polypeptide chain will be produced here. Next to that, here in the prokaryotes, functional RNA will be produced in the beginning itself. The RNA produced here will be functional. And because of that functional RNA, no splicing is required here. I will tell you splicing in this case. Here, the eukaryotes produce heterogeneous nuclear RNA they produce. Why they are called heterogeneous? Hetero means dissimilar or different like that. In this RNA, two different areas are present. One is called exon, another one is called as intron. Remember this point. So exons and introns are present in the case of hnRNA. So what should be done means the introns are non-functional part. Intervening sequences they are called, they are non-functional. Those intervening sequences should be removed. Whatever introns are there, they should be removed and exon should be joined. That mechanism of joining exons and removing introns is called gene splicing, we are telling. For doing this gene splicing, we need ligase enzyme, that is present in the case of eukaryotes of course, and ligases will be doing this gene splicing. In prokaryotes also ligase is there. But here we are using the ligase in addition to that replication. Here for transcription also, joining the exon is done by ligase. Next to this, one more difference we have seen is there is no capping required and no tailing required for this process. There is no capping and tailing in the case of what is that prokaryotes. But here, capping is done with the help of G cap, you may be remembering. Tailing is done in the 3' end with the help of poly A tail, you may be remembering. This is called the differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic transcription. Remember. Now, one point here is why there must be introns present in the eukaryotes. What is the need for presence of non-functional segments, junk segments in the eukaryotes means? The presence of introns exhibits antiquity, we are telling. Antiquity, it is an antiquate molecule or antique molecule present in our body. During evolution, they became non-functional. That is the meaning. In ancestors or in other species, these segments may be functional. But when human evolution started taking place, some of the unwanted segments became non-functional. They are called introns. So those introns are removed for getting functional RNA. Previously in ancestors, before evolution or before in the lower group of animals, these introns might be functional, we are believing. That is the speciality of RNA world or RNA, we can say. We get 3 types of RNAs which are involved in catalytic functions also. We shall continue about the remaining point in this class. Just make note, we will continue. Okay, students, you might have written this one already. Even in the previous class also we discussed about it. Let us now go to the next part called translation. Translation refers to synthesis of protein based on message present in mRNA. mRNA is called messenger RNA. It gives a blueprint for protein synthesis. What does that blueprint means? Which amino acid should be placed where to get a particular protein? If at all I want insulin, I must know where to place which amino acid so that I can get that hormone properly. That is called blueprint, we are telling. That blueprint is provided by what is that mRNA. By using that message or mRNA's blueprint, ribosome will synthesize the protein. Remember, mRNA does not produce protein. It gives message. It gives some idea for what is that constructing a protein molecule. So that mRNA is produced from DNA, we have seen. Without DNA, mRNA is not possible. And we have seen that mRNA produced by transcription is identical to the coding strand of DNA. So DNA is the master molecule. From that DNA we get mRNA. Based on the message present in mRNA, we synthesize protein. Remember, mRNA does not become protein. It is just giving the blueprint for what is that this protein synthesis. Now remember how mRNA's blueprint will be understood by ribosome. Please listen one point. mRNA is made up of nucleotides actually. Ribonucleotides are present in the mRNA. And these ribonucleotides must be, what is that telling about? It must give the message for amino acid language actually. Remember this point when you compare mRNA with a protein molecule. mRNA is made up of polynucleotides, you may be remembering. It is a polynucleotide chain. polyribonucleotide chain it can be called. But proteins are not made up of nucleotides. They are made up of amino acids. Remember this point. So what is the problem we come across here means the language of nucleotide must be converted into the language of amino acid. There is a mRNA contain nucleotide language, protein contain amino acid language. So how to convert that language of nucleotides into amino acid language? That process is called translation we are telling. It is called as translation we can say here. Here comes another point. At the maximum, mRNA is made up of 4 nucleotides only. They contain adenine monophosphate, guanine monophosphate, cytidine monophosphate and uridine monophosphate. Only 4 nucleotides are there. That means language of mRNA is made up of 4 alphabets. We can consider like this. There are only 4 alphabets or 4 nucleotides present in mRNA. But if you take a protein molecule, the protein is made up of 20 types of amino acids mainly. It contains 20 types of amino acids actually. So in a protein molecule, generally we come across 20 types of amino acid, not 20 number. 20 types. There may be thousands of amino acid present in a protein molecule, but how many types are there means 20 types. So here comes another important problem during translation. First problem is language of nucleotide must be converted into language of amino acids. Second problem is there are only 4 types of nucleotides, but there are 20 types of amino acid. Now comes the question, how the ribosome knows which amino acid should be placed where. For example, I am telling, if at all one nucleotide, there must be some coding language we are telling. There must be some coding language between mRNA and protein. Then only ribosome can understand that code language and synthesize the protein actually. That code language is called as genetic code we are telling. It is called as genetic code. Why we should call it a genetic code when genetic material is DNA? Here we talk about mRNA, why it should be called a genetic code? Even though we talk about RNA here, that RNA is identical to the coding strand only. Without DNA's coding strand or without template from DNA, RNA could not have been synthesized. But now RNA has got 4 types of nucleotide. Protein has got 20 types of amino acid. There must be some code language between the 2 molecules. This is different, this is different. This is made up of nucleotide, this is made up of amino acid. So there is a code language existing between mRNA and ribosome or mRNA and protein synthesis. Now the question is, suppose imagine if adenine codes for 1 amino acid, guanine codes for 1 amino acid, cytosine 1 amino acid, uridine 1 amino acid means at the maximum you will get 4 amino acids only coded. There are 20 amino acids or only 4 nucleotides. If each nucleotide codes for 1 amino acid, at the maximum how many amino acids you will get? 4 amino acids only will be coded. Remaining 16 amino acids cannot be utilized, but in reality it is being utilized. So how to use that remaining 16 amino acid? Now remember, just I will explain this process. There is a scientist, even many physicists, many biochemists and biologists, they worried about or they started thinking about this translation process. They wanted to know how the blueprint of mRNA could be recognized by ribosome how it could make the amino acid arrangement, how they understand each other. That condition, we use, first we tried for a singlet system or singlet base system, it can be called. In the case of singlet base system, there are four type of nucleotides. Each type of nucleotide code for one amino acid means permutation combination if you make means at the maximum 4 amino acids only will be coded. So this becomes insufficient. One nucleotide cannot code for one amino acid. That is not a condition here, because 16 amino acids we have to sacrifice. It will become insufficient code. Suppose if at all we use a duplet system or duplet base system means, according to duplet base system, some scientists told that each nucleotide they may undergo some combination. Suppose A and G will become one code, AG, that will code for one amino acid. AC, AU, like that they can code. GCGU, CU, CA, like that they may code. That will become 4 to the power 2, 2 bases, 2 combination, duplet combination they are making. If that is the case, it will be coding for 16 amino acids only. Still our language is insufficient to code 4 types of amino acid. But in reality, protein molecules have 20 types. So this system is also not accepted. This system is also not accepted. Now comes the triplet code system. Remember this idea. According to triplet code system or triplet base system, scientists believed that a combination of 3 nucleotides can code for one amino acid. When one nucleotide codes for one amino acid, it becomes insufficient. 2 nucleotides, when they code for one amino acid, it will also become insufficient. So why can't be the combination of 3 nucleotides code for one amino acid? Now comes the triplet base system. 4 to the power 3 we are making. It becomes 64 codons actually. Therefore 4 to the power 3 means they may produce 64 codes. 64 codes will be more than sufficient to code 20 types of amino acids. Remember this point. Having insufficient language or communication is always dangerous. But having more words, it is applicable, acceptable. So there are 64 codes possible, and they are combination of 3 nucleotides. Such a combination is called genetic code, we are telling. This genetic code is made up of a triplet of nucleotides. That idea was proposed by one Russian physicist called George Gamow, we can say. George Gamow is the name of the scientist who proposed the triplet base system or triplet idea he proposed. Of course, Crick also accepted that idea. Francis Crick and Watson is then known that Crick also accepted that idea, and Crick also supported that idea. According to George Gamow, a genetic code is made up of 3 nucleotides. Combination of 3 nucleotides will be called genetic code. In one more question, it is often asked, what is a genetic code? It is a combination of 3 nucleotides which can code for one amino acid. So when you make permutation combination among this AGCU, they will undergo 3 numbers, they will become 64 codons actually. Each codon will code for one amino acid. That will become more than sufficient to code for 20 amino acids. That is called, that 64 codon system is called genetic code, we are telling. So what is genetic code made up of? It is made up of combination of 3 nucleotides. So the combination of 3 nucleotides which can code for one particular amino acid is called genetic code. How did we arrive that triplet system? If at all singlet system is used, one base, one code means one amino acid means it becomes insufficient because it will code only for 4 amino acids. Duplet base means two bases coding for one amino acid means at the maximum 16 amino acid. Again it will be insufficient for 4 amino acid. So we boldly propose an idea that triplet codes are existing in the living system. And what is the proof for that? How can you simply you are saying triplet system, but where is the proof for that? Means 3 scientists have given proof for the existence of triplet system in the living system. 3 scientists have given proof for the existence of triplet codon. One of them is known as Hargobind Khorana, we can say. Hargobind Khorana. K-O-K-H-O, R-A-N-A. Hargobind Khorana, an Indian-born scientist. He used some idea for proving that genetic code is made up of triplet. What is that idea? What is the condition he used means? Hargobind Khorana, he used a system of, what is that? An Indian-born scientist. He used the system of copolymers and homopolymers system he used. Copolymer and homopolymer system he used. Based on that, he proved the genetic code in triplets. What is that homopolymer and copolymer means? He took mRNA, short mRNAs with known nucleotide in triplets. He took mRNAs with only 3 nitrogenous bases like U, like that. Uracil, 3 uracils. That will become homopolymer. 3 adenine, 3 bases of guanine, 3 bases of cytosine. Like that in triplets he took and he was able to synthesize a polypeptide chain here, not polynucleotide. Proteins are made up of amino acid. Between the amino acid, peptide bond is there. Polypeptide chain he used to synthesize in laboratory condition by using the copolymer and homopolymer. In copolymer, known nucleotides are repeated in triplets. Suppose AGG, AGA, something like that, copolymers are also used by Hargobind Khorana. That is the first proof which told us that genetic code is made up of triplet bases like that. Same homopolymer when they used in duplet, only 2 uracil, they did not take any, join any amino acid. So it is one proof we can say. There was another scientist, one is Hargobind Khorana, second scientist is called Kornberg, Kornberg. This Kornberg also synthesized polypeptide chains in cell-free system actually. Cell-free system, that means in laboratory condition, he did not use any cellular component, even ribosomes also, without using any cellular organelles. Directly, artificially he could synthesize polypeptide chain and by using the same triplet mechanism here. So Kornberg also proved the triplet existence of genetic code with the help of cell-free system. There is an understanding between mRNA and ribosome. According to that understanding only proteins are synthesized. That mechanism was done, proved even in vitro condition or in the cell-free method also. Thirdly, there was one Japanese scientist, namely Shibiro Wachao, he is called. Shibiro Wachao is another scientist who did one experiment here. He synthesized some enzymes, namely polynucleotide phosphatase enzyme he synthesized. Polynucleotide phosphatase enzyme. even in this, by using this polynucleotide phosphatase enzyme, he was able to synthesize proteins by template free mechanism also. Template free system. That means for synthesizing protein, we need mRNA as a template. Even without mRNA, but by using the enzyme called phosphonucleotide phosphatase, of course raw materials are there, nucleotides were there. That is not yet defined order of mRNA. There is no definite mRNA used for this purpose. That is called template free system. So Corona synthesized, not Corona, okay, HG Corona, okay, that Corona synthesized amino acid chain by using copolymer and homopolymer. Kornberg synthesized polypeptide chain by cell-free system. Template-free system of polynucleotide chain were produced by Severo-Wachavo by using an enzyme called polynucleotide phosphatase enzyme. Remember, this enzyme is otherwise called as Wachavo's enzyme, it is called. So these three scientists have proved. They have given experimental evidence for Gamow's observation. Gamow proposed an idea that language of nucleotide can be understood by language of amino acid in the form of triplets only. Singlet system is insufficient, duplet system is insufficient, triplet system becomes more than sufficient. So living system must be using combination of three nucleotides to code one amino acid. That is the proposal given by Gamow. Even that was supported by Crick also, but Crick also could not give any experimental proof. Who gave experimental proof means these three scientists. Three scientists for triplet codon system, they gave the proof. One is Hargobind Khorana, another one is Kornberg, third one is Severo-Wachavo. I am thinking, 1 minute. It is not Kornberg. Nirenberg, we have to remember. Okay, Nirenberg, I think. Okay, Nirenberg, he proposed a cell-free system of, please make note of this. Nirenberg has used a cell-free system. Kornberg, he synthesized or he proposed RNA, DNA polymerase enzyme and all. Here Nirenberg, cell-free system, Wachavo, template-free system, and copolymer and homopolymers were used by HG Khorana. Make note of this idea called genetic code. Still about a genetic code, we have to know certain points. I will discuss about it, just make note. Few minutes. Okay, students, we shall continue with the concept of genetic code. So remember, genetic code is made up of 3 nucleotides. Each nucleotide triplet can code for 1 amino acid, so that amino acids can be later joined into a polypeptide chain. That polypeptide chain will become a protein molecule. Okay. When we come to the genetic code, first the idea of genetic code was given by Gamow. Later, upon the genetic code, many research works were carried out, and scientists have elucidated some properties of the genetic code also. When more and more researches were conducted, definite properties of genetic code came into existence. So here I am going to deal with one important 3-mark question called properties of genetic code. We can see properties of genetic code, or otherwise characteristics of genetic code, they can be called characters of genetic code, they can be called. Sometimes even in 5-mark question it can be asked. Let us see what are the important properties of the genetic code here. Please listen. The genetic code, first property we have to remember is genetic code exhibits a condition called as universality. Remember this point. They exhibit a condition called as universality, we can say. What is meant by universality? Means irrespective of the nature of organism, a particular codon will code for a particular amino acid only. So without depending on, it does not depend on nature of organism. In every organ, every living thing, a particular codon will code for particular amino acid only. That is called universality, we can say. I will explain this process. Suppose imagine we have found that the genetic code called UUU, 3 uracil combination. They are coding for one amino acid called phenylalanine. Means scientists have found that this particular codon will always code for phenylalanine only in every living system. Whether it is a bacteria, a prokaryote, or it may be an annelid, or it may be a mammal, or even in the case of gymnosperm or anything you take, every living organism has universality with reference to genetic code. UUU will always code for what is that, phenylalanine only. Very rarely we could come across some exception. In mitochondria, it has got its own DNA, we have seen. In chloroplast, it has got its own DNA. In such DNA, there may be some deviation, there may be some exception. But 99.99% living things follow universality with reference to genetic code. What is that universality? A particular codon will code for particular amino acid irrespective of the nature of organism. Whether it is a gymnosperm or angiosperm, whether it is an algae or fungi, whether it is an eukaryote or prokaryote, or it may be an annelid or it may be a chordate. In every living thing, this codon will code for this amino acid only. That becomes universality. Remember this point. Okay. Second point we have to remember is there are 64 codons possible based on triplet system. 64 codons are existing in this living world. Out of 64 codons, 61 will code for amino acids. 61 will code for amino acids. 20 types of amino acids they will code. So only 61 codons are used for coding 20 types of amino acid. That becomes another point. Why, sir? What happened to another 3 amino acids? Another 3 codons means there are totally 64 codons possible because of triplet 4 to the power 3. Out of 64 codons, 61 will code for amino acid. Remaining 3 do not code for any amino acid. Those remaining 3 codons are there, they are called as, these 3 codons will be called as terminator codons, they can be called. They are called terminator codons. Or otherwise, they can be called as stop codons, they can be called. What is the stop codon? What is the purpose of terminator codon means? In the mRNA molecule, it is made up of long chain of nucleotide. In the mRNA molecule, wherever these three codons, otherwise what are that? These three particular triplet comes, then their translation will stop. Process of translation will not continue beyond the terminator codon. Translation process will not continue. Who are those three codons who can stop the translation means? Either they will be UAA, we can say. UAA codon, uracil adenine. They are capable of stopping the process of translation. They do not allow further translation beyond them. UAG is another terminator, we can say. UAA, UAG, and remember UGA also. These three codons, when they come here, either UAA or UAG or UGA, these three codons, not all the 9 bases should be there, any 3 only. When these codons come in the mRNA molecule, protein synthesis will stop, translation will be stopped. Since they are able to stop the process of translation, they are called, what is that? Terminator codons. Okay. Among them, there is one more point we have to understand. There is a codon called as AUG actually. AUG. Adenine uracil guanine. There won't be thymine at all. Because we are talking about the RNA. Where is genetic code present? It is present in the mRNA, remember. Language of nucleotides, mRNA is the messenger. Messenger only will carry the code, is it or not? Master will be sitting in the nucleus, messenger will bring the code language. In that code, messenger RNA, if AUG comes means that AUG has got dual function, we are telling. AUG has got a dual function. What is the dual function means? It can act as initiator in almost all the organisms. It becomes an initiator codon. Terminator is 3 types. Initiator is 1 type. So in any mRNA, AUG will be the first codon, we can say. They will start the process of initiation. So it is initiator codon. Terminator codons are here. AUG is the initiator codon. Not only that one, AUG has got another function also. If at all, in the middle of RNA, if AUG comes means, of course in the first there will be AUG. There it will initiate, okay. In the middle if it comes means, it will code for one amino acid called methionine, we can say. AUG will code for which amino acid? Methionine. When it comes in the middle of mRNA. If it comes in the first, it is the initiator. It will be there in the first codon, that is called initiator. Last codons are called terminators. Remember these important 4 functions, 4 properties. There are some more properties related to genetic code. I will explain you here. Please listen. In the case of genetic code, they exhibit a phenomenon of what is that? Degeneracy, we can see. Genetic code exhibits a phenomenon of degeneracy. Very important point, somewhat confusing to understand. Try to listen. Please listen. There are 61 codons. But how many amino acids? Only 20 types of amino acids. If we have 20 codon, that is sufficient. Of course, if you want, you can take some terminator and initiator. 24 codons is sufficient. But how many are possible? 61 codons are possible. Then what is the use of remaining codons? Means, it was proved that one amino acid can be coded by many codons here. Can be coded by many codons. That phenomenon is called as degeneracy, we are telling. One amino acid can be coded by many codons. That means UUU codes for phenylalanine. It doesn't mean that phenylalanine is coded by UUU only. Sometimes UUA may also code for phenylalanine. That means because we have more number of codons possible. In any language, in English language also, we come across synonyms. One word, otherwise many meanings it will give. The synonymous word, that means one meaning coded given by many words. Such a thing will be here also. One amino acid coded by many codons. Such codons are called degeneracy codon, degenerating codons they can be called. Remember this point? One amino acid coded by many codons. Now you can come to a confusion here. What is that? Sir, here you told UUU codes for phenylalanine. They are universal, you are telling. But here you are telling UUA also can code for phenylalanine. How is it possible? Please listen. This is also universal only. UUA will code for phenylalanine irrespective of all the organisms. There is no confusion with reference to universality. They are universal, but at the same time they are degeneracy also. Remember this point. So that is a degeneracy phenomenon we can say. Let us come to another point, the sixth character here. Regarding degeneracy, you have to understand you have to appreciate the process of degeneracy here. Suppose in many cases, even if the last base is changed, meaning will not change, language or whatever, it will code for same amino acid only. Any change in one base out of three bases, if any change in the last base will not make much difference. That is the speciality of degeneracy, remember. Let me come to the sixth point, sixth property of the genetic code. The next and important property is genetic code is contiguous nature. Contiguous in nature, we are telling. What is meant by contiguous? They must be read in continuous manner. If you start from initiator codon, for example 5' end, you will be stopping at a 3' end only with reference to terminator codon. In between, you cannot stop. Do you get my point? Once if mRNA gets started for translation, it will be stopped at a terminator codon only. That is called contiguous manner. They should be continuous in nature. In textbook, contiguity is given. That is called continuously. It should be read. That means another point is it is punctuationless. We can see. This message is without any punctuation. In between, you cannot put a comma, you cannot put a colon, semicolon, something like that. Even apostrophe, nothing. It should be read in triplets only, continuously, and then it must end with terminator here. So they must be read in triplet, but at the continuous manner, without any punctuation. No punctuation is possible. You cannot stop and take some rest here in between, then continue further. It is not possible. It should be read in contiguous manner. And because of universality, they do not exhibit ambiguity also. There is no ambiguity in the case of genetic code, remember. What is meant by ambiguous nature? Ambiguity means no confusion. There is no confusion. Always they will be coding in a particular sequence only, and that will be giving a particular amino acid only. That is called no confusion, no punctuation. It should be started from initiator, ending with a terminator. This mechanism is called no ambiguity, and no, what is that? It will be continuous, but no punctuations actually. So remember students, these are the characters of a genetic code. Important 5-mark question. Often it is asked. First point is it exhibits universality. That means a particular codon will code for a particular amino acid in every type of living organism, in all the living systems. Second one is there are 64 codons. Out of them, 61 will be coding for amino acid. They will code for 20 types of amino acid. Remaining 3 codons are called terminator codons. They are UAA, UAG, UGA. They do not code for any amino acid, so they are capable of stopping the process of translation. AUG can act as initiator as well as it can code for methionine. When it comes in the middle of the chain or mRNA, it can code for methionine. At the same time, in the beginning also it will be present. There it will give rise to F-met, it is called. Formulated methionine, it will code. Anyhow, initiator and methionine codon, it acts. I told you degeneracy. Since there are many codons than the number of amino acid, naturally, one amino acid can be coded by many codons. Such a phenomenon is called degeneracy. Such codons are called degenerating codons. UUU and UUA both are degenerating codons because they code for same amino acid. Last day I told you is genetic code is contiguous in nature. It is not read with punctuations. It is punctuationless. Another last point is there is no ambiguity. Confusion will not be there. It will be read in triplet continuously. So this is regarding genetic code. In the next class, I will explain you about dictionary of genetic code, how to make a dictionary by using triplets and how they code for these things. Later we will go for translation, process of translation. Okay, let me stop with this. We shall continue later. Thank you.